It is Wednesday, the 27th at 6:02 PM. We're at the City Hall, second floor, the Public Safety Commission meeting. I will call the meeting to order. I will read the recording statements. I'm gonna all go here, right? Double check. Somebody must have really worked on this because I don't have to let anybody in, which is great. Does it automatically. All right. This meeting is being recorded by the Public Safety Commission. If anyone other than the commission is recording the meeting, you must notify the chair at this time. Is anybody here locally or on Zoom recording the meeting? We'll take that as a no. Hi there, stranger. All right. No person shall address a meeting of the public body without permission of the chair, and all persons shall, at the request of the chair, be silent. No person shall disrupt the proceedings of a meeting of a public body. If, after clear warning from the chair, a person continues to disrupt the proceedings, the chair may order the person to withdraw from the meeting. And if the person does not withdraw, the chair may authorize the constable or other officer to remove the person from the meeting. And we have plenty of these folks here tonight to do that. Great. All right, I will take a roll call. We do have a quorum. There's three of us. Ed Jarvis.
Here.
Maria Burge.
Here.
And David Moscaratolo. David Lanoy and Amy McMahon are absent. No problems. We're not going to approve the meeting minutes from last month, according to the secretary, correct?
Correct.
We'll get caught up next month.
Correct.
Great. All right, I will invite public comments. Public comment is always encouraged and welcome at our meetings. So first I'll do folks locally, and then I'll ask folks on Zoom if they won't have any comments. Anybody locally want to speak? Come on up. Just let us know your name, and I don't time people at this meeting, so.
I will try to be brief. Hi, my name is Jesus Leva, and I live at 88 Deerfield Street in Greenfield. I primarily came to the meeting to thank the fire department and the police department for responding to a relatively minor complaint at my property regarding a property dispute, but one that has in the past escalated before. They responded very appropriately, and as a result of their response, it de-escalated the situation. I also want to clarify that I forwarded a complaint to the Public Safety Commission, a fire complaint. It's not a complaint with the fire department, it's a complaint against the individual. And the record that I attached to that email is self-explanatory as to why I forwarded this to the Public Safety Commission. This is a person who has in the past been engaged in activities through his rental business practices that have necessitated the involvement of police department, fire department, health department, taken to court by the health department, assessors. And so it seems, at least to me, pretty clear that without monitoring by different city departments, this person has made life difficult for abutters, tenants, and other residents in the city. And I don't want to malign someone, but I think that the reality is when you see a record that large of someone's misconduct, that it requires some attention. And I just, again, thank you to the response to the different, the police and fire who responded.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here in the room that would like to make public comment? Right, anybody on Zoom would like to make public comments? Turn your camera on if you could. Wave your hands.
Is that all, is mute? Are they all muted?
No. Got it unmuted.
Now you're on,
Is there anybody that wants to make public comment on Zoom?
Stephanie.
Stephanie has.
Stephanie, are you there?
No, her mic is off. There you go.
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry. Stephanie
Okay.
Duclos.
All right, the floor is
Chapman's-
yours. Go ahead.
Stephanie Duclos, Chapman Street, Greenfield, precinct 8. I first I want to say the last meeting that I watched of the Public Safety Commission was one of the best public meetings I have attended, and I have attended almost every one that the city has had for 6 years straight now. I also want to say the cooperation in the room. I was so happy to see a change of attitude, of cooperation, and agreement in working with making our city safer. I also want to just reiterate some other concerns that I know that Chief Dodge already knows about speeding on Chapman, and a lot of the increased crime that has happened in my general neighborhood. I just wanted to thank the police for all of what they have been doing. And I know that their job is really tough right now because of staffing issues. Again, just another thank you to you guys. And I wanted to say I'm, on a personal note, David, I'm really sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Stephanie. Thank you for speaking. Anybody else on Zoom, in the Zoom world that wants to speak? Raise your hand. All right. With that, I'm going to close the public comment and we'll continue. Thank you.
Did?
I might have done that by mistake.
Oh. Here to help. Real quick, we do have a somewhat firm, although not 100% committed, of a date for the new firehouse. We are shooting for May 15th for it to be ready for occupancy. There's still some components missing. There are some work that needs to be done with the local inspectors, but the apparatus should be finished by tomorrow. The electrical work finished up by next week or the week after. Paving, if the plant will open on time, the end of next week, beginning of the first week of April. Once those parts are done, we should be in pretty good shape. So looking forward to it.
Great news.
It's we're ready to move. So last couple months, I've talked about initiatives with mental health and first responders. I have a meeting set up through a gentleman from Sunderland Fire has found a group of clinicians that are interested in working with our responders. So we're going to have a preliminary meeting on that and see what comes about that. As you know, mental health is one of my drums that I'm beating pretty loud. And I had the privilege to go to GCTV. They're doing a series on trauma and was able to do a show about trauma and first responders. And so trying to get the word out. We're busy. We're continuing to respond on calls as normal. Call volume is up. Our last year numbers, like I said at the last meeting, were the highest we've ever had. It seems like I say that every year. But things are moving forward. Take any questions, real short and sweet. Oh, and the ambulance A2's replacement scheduled to be here in July has got pushed back because of supply issues to probably November. And before I close, next year's budget, we are in this discussions with the finance department and the mayor's office, and we are looking at some reductions in our request moving forward. So we are taking what we have been recommended for our reductions, seeing how that fits in the picture and develop a plan of action to implement it. I am happy to report that it does look like the two firefighters that we are down, that the ambulance revenue account, I think may be able to support both of those positions. And that has been seen and favorable from the finance department and the mayor's office. So we may be advertising sooner than later to try to get a July 1 start date for the, we're still working out with HR, whether or not we could do that without the funding in hand, if we can advertise and preempt that process. And so we're still working on that. But hopefully by July, we'll have 2 new firefighters.
That's great.
And then Christy graduates on Friday. Next Friday. So, yeah, so we'll get her back.
Can you either speak of the recommended reductions, or can you send them to us so we can review what the reductions might be for the budget? Yeah, I don't know, pressure now, you can just send them to.
Yeah, we're still in discussions with the finance department and the mayor, and so we don't know entirely what that is gonna look like, but yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see what they are.
Yep.
The other commissioners probably would.
Yep, I know that, it's safe to say that I put in for the restoring of the deputy chief. It's not gonna happen, so. And then there's been some reductions off of the ask too.
Okay,
So we'll get back to you.
okay, great. Any other questions from commissioners?
Nope.
All right, thank you. All right, I will invite dispatch. I was thinking, not to change the subject, but I was thinking about rotating, to be fair. But now that you're kind of complaining, I'm going to keep you out.
Knock that down. I am Cindy Hunter. I'm the dispatch supervisor. I would like to introduce you all to Melissa Younger.
Welcome. Do you have thick skin?
Yes.
Okay, you're gonna need it.
Met Dave in the parking lot. This is Marie Birch,
Hi,
and
Maria.
this is Ed Jarvis, a retired firefighter. So Melissa started training about a month and a half ago
Yeah.
or so.
About
She's
6 weeks.
been to the APCO PST1 class, and she is certified 911 now. So she is now on the desk, actively training with a trainer. We're pretty encouraged about her progress, and so hopefully, the average trainee is about 2 to 3 months. So we're hoping, hopefully for the summer, that you will be on the desk.
My hope too.
So she makes the 10th person right now. So
Number 10.
number 10. And our 10th person has always been considered our vacation relief spot, or that spot is for vacation relief. We don't know if that's where she'll end up, but we'll have another shift bid and she'll find that out. So
I sure will. Low man on the totem pole.
yeah, kind of, everyone starts somewhere, right?
That's right, you do.
So I just wanted to bring Melissa and have you all meet her. I think it's been suggested that it's a good idea to put a face with dispatch. And so I think
Absolutely.
if you all are okay with that, hopefully another dispatcher will come along next month and you all will get to meet all of the dispatchers, I'm hoping. So
Yeah, that would be wonderful. We love that.
absolutely. Thank you. And I mean, anytime you guys wanted to stop in and see us, I mean, feel free. We can show you our temporary quarters and show you what we're doing on a daily basis. So do you want to stay and listen to the discussion?
Sure, why not?
Okay. So that's Melissa. Last I heard from the chief, he's still working on our dispatch project and doing his best.
Nobody's working on this background.
Except no, the construction hasn't started, but he's in a daily battle with the various departments to so he's doing his best for us and we appreciate that. Radio upgrade, same thing. We're still waiting I think have the bids gone out for that while you're making eyes?
April first, it was gonna be out on the 25th, I think, but there was an error on something, so April 1st is the new date that it'll be out to bid, advertised, et cetera.
Gotcha. So moving along with that, thankfully. As we talked about in a prior meeting, our radio consoles are pretty antiquated, and oftentimes it's very difficult to hear the officers, hear the firefighters. We sometimes will get the response from the officers that we sound like we're underwater. And so we have to reset the console, which takes a few minutes, and so it's pretty cumbersome and can definitely be a safety issue if you can't hear the responder. So
Every second counts.
definitely. Let's see, so I do have a handout for you all. I put together some numbers. I did sort of a 5-year, I went back about 5 years.
Thank you.
And I also have a snapshot of the last 3 months to kind of give you, so. You see, Melissa, could you share that to the chief? Please? So the first page is just kind of a sort of a minimal breakdown, a mini breakdown of what some of the things that we do in dispatch. I'm sure that you guys are probably familiar with most of these. But the second page, total calls for service for this year so far, just to kind of give you an idea of how our call volume is going. So we've had about 11,000 total calls for service so far this year. We've taken 5,647 911 calls total. And we've had about 11,000 business line calls. And the other numbers that you see there are the radio transmissions between us and the fire department, us and the police department, which is certainly quite large, especially on the police side. So sometimes having 2 dispatchers isn't enough in the room. But so I just gave you the breakdown for January, February, and March so far. And then if you continue forward, I did the breakdown of 5 years. Going back 5 years to 2019. So overall, from 2019 to 2023, we had an increase overall of our call volume of over 30%. And as Chief Strahan said, the call volume just continues to grow, as we can see. And then it just gives a breakdown on the couple of following pages of each year. It gives the call volume, the radio traffic volume. You'd like to take a look at that at some point. We have talked quite a bit amongst myself, the chief, Dodge and I have worked quite hard over the last 8 months or so to try to increase our per diems numbers. The turnover has been quite high in the last 2 or 3 years for us. Unfortunately, that's the trend in dispatching across the country. So we've been a little bit above the national average, which is about 14 to 17%. We've been a little bit ahead or above that, unfortunately. But for a couple of years, we've managed to stay steady, which we are grateful for. We have a very wide range. Myself, I've been doing this 22 years. We have a 17-year veteran. We have an 8-year veteran. And then we have brand new people, such as Melissa. So a wide range of experience. I think the last 3 years has kind of been an anomaly. 1 year we did lose, I think, 6 dispatchers in one summer over the course of about 6 years. But again, we're coming back from that, and I feel like we're in a good place right now. I know that the Chief Haig, prior Chief Haig, and now Chief Dodge were both working very hard to try to add another dispatcher to our ranks, to have 11. And I know that that is something that the chief is currently talking to the mayor about. I don't have anything to do with the budget right now. I know that that's his thing that's ongoing. So, but that's definitely something that he has tried to work into the budget this year. So we'll see if that works out. And then just the last page just talks a little bit about dispatcher burnout, which is, I mean, it's across the board for first responders. High stress and traumatic calls, our shift work, that can be very difficult. Lack of recognition. I do try on a fairly regular basis to recognize, when the dispatchers are doing, the great work that they do. We have had some sort of anomaly calls in the last, couple of years. Certainly the plane crash was one of the biggest anomalies we've had. But just other calls such as, suicides and, that kind of thing can definitely take a toll. on us. And as Chief Strahan had mentioned, he's working very hard on the mental health aspect for his firefighters, and we're looking into something for dispatch as well. So I hope to, it's a little bit difficult because I still work the desk, and so it's not always easy to dedicate as much time to the admin part of the job, but working on it. So, so I just wanted to kind of give you that, and maybe you can peruse that. Just kind of a snapshot for us of, what's going on in our office. I would like to say to both police and fire departments, we're grateful that we've been doing monthly meetings between the fire department, police department, and us. We were very fortunate to have our last meeting at the new fire station, which I have to say, if you have the opportunity, please go and take a tour because it is amazing inside. They will have a great place to work out of and to assist the public out of. But it's been very helpful for communication, some changes we're making as far as communication for dispatch, how things are dispatched out over the radio, getting timely information out, getting information out timely to both departments. We're working on that. So I hope, and I think we're going to continue to have those meetings. They've been very beneficial so far. So like I said, Melissa hopefully will be online fairly soon. We do have, I think, 5 or 6 per diems now. We've been very lucky. We had another per diem come back online with us. Rebecca Jernigan, she was full-time with us. She took maternity leave and decided not to come back full-time, but she is now per diem again with us. So she's already signed up for a bunch of shifts, so we're grateful for that. And it certainly saves a little bit for the budget, so we're also grateful for that as well. So I think we have a really good group of per diems right now that we can count on, and so that's going to take some of the stress off the full-time people. Again, as I said, burnout is really something to be concerned about, and so, but hopefully we're going in a good direction, and I think we're in a good place right now. So that's more or less what I have. Do you guys have any questions for me, for us?
Just a comment, on your last page here that it sticks right out that 5 of the 8 burnout reasons are personnel, lack of personnel. So,
No.
that just proves that we need more dispatchers to be doing dispatching and take and relieve some of this so we don't lose our dispatchers. So I think it's pretty blatant right there that 5 of the 8 reasons are personnel, lack of personnel, I should say. So.
When I mentioned, so I think it was 2 or 3 years ago now. So when we had that sort of bad summer where we lost so many all at once, I think it was not that I don't think that both chiefs didn't appreciate what we did and how, our losing people was so traumatic for us. But even Chief Strahan had opportunity to come in and sit the desk with us. We were working with firefighters and police officers, and he was one of our partners at one point working the desk with us. And so I think it was eye-opening for all of the responders who came in and worked with us, both police and fire. And it's not that I don't think that they appreciate us, because I think that they really do appreciate us. But I think it just gave them that much more appreciation of how chaotic it can be and what it can be like in there. So, yeah, so I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Well, Cindy, personally, I appreciate your great leadership. I've been coming to these meetings for 10 months. And, I'm impressed with your presentations. So
Thank you. I appreciate that. I know that you have a perspective, of course, because you were a police officer. So you have seen dispatch, and you have that perspective.
Yeah,
So
we did both jobs.
well, you guys were dispatchers, correct? At one point? Yeah.
Yeah, and on the street, so.
Yeah. So
Absolutely, because that feeling that you get when you, helplessness, when you can't be there to help, you think you could help.
yeah,
But the calming voice and, I really appreciate you guys.
I appreciate that. And I will definitely pass your comments along to the dispatchers as well.
Just a couple comments and questions. What's this schedule like for the full timers? Is it 2 days on, 2 days, is there a common schedule for the full timers?
There is a common schedule. So it is, we work 5-2, 5-3.
Okay,
So every other rotation is 3 days off, which is definitely a plus, especially when you work the night shift.
yeah, that's.
So, yeah.
Okay, great. And is the per diem, do the per diems get trained the same way that the full timers do?
Yes, I will tell you that we are very fortunate because all of our per diems right now are, I believe, all prior full-time people.
Okay.
So we do have the benefit of that. We did try, and I know I mentioned in one of our previous meetings that we did have a gentleman who was very, very interested in coming in. He had never dispatched before, but he also had a full-time job. And so he tried doing the training on sort of a almost half part-time basis. And he realized that it wasn't enough. He couldn't devote enough time to it. But yes, we are very lucky that all of our per diems, I think, are all former full-time.
That's great.
Yeah, so.
And do we actually do, like, when somebody leaves, it could be a general question for all the departments, but do we do some type of exit interview so we can really capture why they're leaving?
I would have to.
Does that ever happen?
The deputy chief or the
Does-
chief? Do we know what's that?
HR has done
Okay.
it. Yeah, we don't, I mean, there's always that sit down and the introduction of the fact that they want to leave or they're gonna leave, and there's a conversation. We don't have anything in a policy that we do in an exit interview, but most cases we have conversations.
Okay. And I know you can't answer this, but we really need to all be dedicated to getting you off a desk.
I know
And I
that,
really want to work towards somehow, with the chief and everybody, the mayor. I mean, I know there's budgetary issues, but we really need to get the manager off the desk.
that is.
I just wanted to
definitely a
make that
conversation
statement.
that is happening. And again, I can't speak for the budget stuff that's going on right now, but
Okay, great.
yes, he does have some insight into that battle.
Right, well, thank you. I agree with, I agree with the other commissioners that you always give us a fine presentation. So thank you.
I appreciate
Appreciate it. Have
that.
a great, nice meeting you. Good luck.
Nice to meet you as well. Thank you.
Right, now the most important part of this, no, it's not you, chief, it's Frankie. I think the public really should see Frankie at the table. We welcome you, chief. Last but not least.
You guys can follow this along. In one staple so they can flip it. Some more of a. Welcome, everybody. Chief Dodge, with me, Deputy Chief Gordon. Just go through the handout for you. I made it look a little better than last time, although the color of the printer didn't really look out. Be changing that for next time.
Little tone.
I like it.
Again, same thing, total calls for service in February, calls handled, calls for service were 3,895. That's just in February. Total hours spent on calls, about 1,475 hours, 58 minutes, 44 seconds. Thing to note on that is that does not include travel times, paper completion, bookings, and other incidental activities that come with this stuff. Because we're putting some attention there, I wanted to note that in February, the amount of calls handled just down in the business district were 353 calls for service. From them calls is the next page. 121 incident reports were issued, meaning some level of investigation. Accident reports issued was 45. 45 does not include all the minor accidents that by statute are under $1,000 damage, don't have any personal injury or property damage. Arrest reports issued, these take into account the physical arrests. There were 37 physical arrests in February, and the officers issued 262 citations. Stellar. Special report stuff. Again, I don't want to beat this up. We talked about this last time. We did have a CISM meeting, which was after a traumatic event last time, but we don't get into that. We do have an officer leaving, Officer Ellis Siniger. She had started working towards her way of becoming a detective, but she backed out because she was offered a job with the state police and she's accepted it. Her last day with Greenfield will be the 3rd, and she will be sorely missed. So hopefully we can, we're in the process right now, we're looking around. Hopefully we can find someone academy trained. We're not sure yet. So if we can get someone to quickly replace her, we will. Otherwise, we'll go back out to the posting and start. Police cadet program, I want to note that Lieutenant Haskins been working diligently alongside reps from other law enforcement agencies to design and now recruit that program. Seems to be gaining a lot of steam and has been extremely well received. I think that'll do a lot for us. And I appreciate Lieutenant Haskins' work on that. Community Impact Unit, that's sort of a new designation coined by Sergeant Jay Batinsky. He's been designing and organizing the CIU. That is going to take basically everybody in the Greenfield Police and sort of redefine them in their roles in one way or another. For example, detectives are going to participate in community-related events more so than you probably would have seen them in the past. Officer command staff, we're already doing it. Everybody in some way, shape, or form is going to be involved in the CIU. Sergeant Batinsky had designed and has since acquired patches, so they'll be visible as the CIU in certain operations that they'll undertake. So you'll see them walking around downtown. You'll see them probably at community events and various other things. So I wanted to point out, because we talked about it, the activity with co-response. So co-response in February, there were 21 follow-ups done by the co-responders. There were 46 in-person responses by the co-responders. They didn't do any evaluations, any formal evaluations in February, but they did divert, which is really the nature of this program, the design of the program. They diverted 3 patients from the ER. There were 9 involuntary committals, 7 hospitalizations, and thankfully 0 officers were injured. And in those calls represented, there were 3 either arrests or summonses issued. Before I get into the last page, I want to introduce the reason why you're seeing officers here is because we feel as though we should be here, number one, and they are helping greatly. You'll see Happy Frank. But also I wanted to introduce Sergeant Jay Batinsky to this group. He was recently named our special unit sergeant. So again, Sergeant Batinsky, he's sort of spearheading the CIU thing. So if you want to just introduce yourself, Jay, you can come up if you want, or yeah, come on. Please put him on the spot.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We'll get you on camera.
So Jay Batinsky, just moved into the specialty unit spot last month, kind of spearheading this CIU program, rebranding of certain things that we're going to be undertaking. So like the chief said, we're going to be doing different community initiatives, some enforcement initiatives, some downtown stuff. And it's going to be all encompassing, plainclothes detectives that you may not have seen before at community events, downtown events, some proactive enforcement stuff, as well as the canine, all 3 handlers, Frank, Officer Merrigan, Officer Johansson. And yeah, I think that was pretty much it. There's going to be the core guys, and then we're going to branch out with the patrol and the command staff and kind of pull it all together. So if there's any questions about that, I think you'll see in the near future, like the chief said, we have new patches, like kind of designations for the back of our vest carriers. Traditionally it says Greenfield Police, it'll say Greenfield Police Community Impact Unit. There's a separate uniform that in certain situations is a little more dressed down, kind of like approachable polo style type thing. So you can take the vest carrier off. It'll be nicely done up, and at the events and stuff, it'll be nice. So if there's any questions I can answer about that, that's kind of my pet project
He's
right
very
now.
particular about his wardrobe. Yes.
Yes.
Any question? No, I'm good.
I have a question. Is there any plans to bring back an office area like you did before in the Main Street?
Mhm.
Yes, there is.
Obviously a funding issue, but we have our eyes on some. And the plan would be, if we could do it, I'd like to get IT involved, et cetera. And again, we've really gone nowhere with it, but we're thinking about it, is that we'd like to set up a substation downtown. If we had the right substation, we could store the bikes, charge the bikes, have a report station down there. And then what I sort of envision is a video keypad or a video pad at the door or near the entrance to the place so they can call if they need police services, and they would be brought directly video wise to dispatch.
Mhm.
Dispatch could then triage. So if it's one of those push and runs, dispatch can see through it and see there's nobody there, and then, it's not a bother. But if someone genuinely needs police services, they can talk to dispatch directly from that screen. And then if the officer isn't in the substation, dispatch can relay to them to meet them back at the substation or somewhere else. So it would house some of our equipment. It would be a place for people to go, and it would be a quick place for people to push a button and talk with dispatch.
Yeah, because that's been one of, ever since a lot of folks found out that I was in the commission, is just find out if they're gonna push for that, that substation. So I'm glad that is good.
I spoke with the mayor about it. She likes the idea, but again, it's really in the infant stages. We have no idea the property owners, so we got to start the talks on, what's rent? What can we do to the place? How much changes can we make? So there's a few right now that we have our eyes on.
Yeah, so it's no, that area that you used to use before is not a viable place?
No,
No,
we're looking more at somewhere along the lines of near, I think it was an old sewing place or the ice cream place.
Next to Wild Roots.
Next to Wild, right next to Wild Roots,
Mhm.
right to the left.
It's a very shallow,
Yeah.
almost like a storefront.
Yeah, the one, is very shallow.
It's not big, it's very
the one
small.
with
but again,
the
we could
with the
separate it.
international food places?
No, other side of the road.
Near Chapman Street.
Yeah. Yeah, almost right across from Chapman Street, the end of Chapman.
Is that-
Right across from Chapman, really, like you said. On the other side of the road, yeah. Close to the pocket park, close to that small.
Will those be connected, if that happens, the little sub office and the community impact unit, is that gonna be a closely related thing? Because I think this is a fantastic idea, just to comment, I think the more people see you guys and gals, the more they get to know you, it's just gonna make everybody more comfortable, more confident, and I think that this is a great thing that you're doing and the team is doing, and I'm really interested in this program, so I appreciate that. It's just gonna really go a long way.
We're not exactly sure yet, so Sergeant Batinsky has been tasked with keeping an open mind, basically. It's
Can he do that?
position- It's tough, we gotta direct them a little bit, but we don't know where it's gonna go, and that's the
Sure.
good part.
Well, it's new and it's growing.
That's right.
So you can have, some things will work, some things won't work, and you'll see, well, maybe this doesn't impact so much, maybe this other thing impacts, people more. So but which you're trying, and this is what matters. This is gonna be a great program, I think. And, in the downtown call, 353 calls downtown. And that's not a huge percentage of the February calls, but it's a very busy area. There's a lot of people downtown walking. So even though it's not a whole, I don't know what the percentage is. So
It was a leap year, so it is
Yeah.
bad for
should
additional.
add a couple calls. But I think the downtown's important, and I think this program will go a long way. So thank you. Appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to seeing, it develop and, what plans you have.
Thank you.
So I don't get all the support you need, but
He gets
I'll reach
plenty. He gets a lot. Chris Green trained him, so.
thank you. Appreciate it.
So the next person I want to throw under the bus is our newly appointed detective, Brandon Lagoy. So if he can come up.
That's why
If I have to speak, I said, well, it's up to you. I don't have a-
he has to speak.
I don't have a presentation.
Brandon's been a police officer for many years. He lateraled over to us from Northampton. He's been here for a while. He can tell you his bio. But he's our newest detective.
Yeah, so this is essentially my 10th year on the job as a cop. Came to Greenfield like 3.5 years ago and been family ever since. Looking forward to the CIU and the new responsibilities of the job.
I think that's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The only thing I'm upset about is I reached out to him like 2 months, a month and a half ago. He never got back to me.
Yeah, real busy,
No, but I Congratulations. I think that's great. I really do. I look forward to your work. Any other
No, I just think it's good that we're meeting all the new people.
Yeah.
As an old guy like me, I mean, I remember some of the old people, but that I used to run into every day of the week on the job, but I don't remember any,
I
so.
don't think we've ever met, have we?
No.
No.
So,
Maria Burge, pleased to meet
You
you.
as well.
I was the first full-time police woman in your department. Way
I'm
back.
gonna state the date that you.
just way back.
You
84.
can't hit me from here.
Now I can't hear, I can't see. Yeah.
Well, congratulations and we look forward to your work. And I do say it's really great to, I invite all departments to bring folks to our meetings and do introductions. That's why I ask you to say your name so people on Zoom might not know. We all know who everybody is mostly, but they might not. So I just encourage, I know the fire department's done that in the past, so it's great to see new faces and I encourage that. So.
Appreciate it, buddy. Your face got low.
Thank you,
Not
sir.
horrible.
No, so.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, you know, I said, we won't keep you here.
Fun just began.
Brandon,
Yep.
what's your last name?
Lagoy, Lagoy, Lagoy.
Thank you.
So, last page budget, the dispatch budget, so to speak, the dispatch that the concern you were talking about, I had presented the concept of trying to get Cindy off the desk and into more of a management role. The mayor right now tentatively is on board with that. It looks like with the budget presented, we can get an 11th dispatcher, which will take Cindy off the desk. The actual, put her on a desk to do admin work rather than answering calls, although Cindy and I have talked, she knows there's going to still be some instances where she's got to cover the desk. I mean, in order to make this work, we had to cut the dispatch overtime requests significantly. We're hoping additional people will counteract the need for all that overtime. So, but it looks like we're getting the extra dispatcher, and that would be obviously after July 1. On the police side, we did receive some reductions in our requests. But in cutting a couple lines fairly significantly, the mayor agreed with my proposal to have, we've been traditionally running with 34 total. Right now, we're at 33 because of Chief Egg's retirement, and we didn't replace anything. I just moved to the chief's spot, so we're down to 33. She's agreed to allow us to put 2 more on patrolmen, as long as we agree to not fight her over the 3rd lieutenant, which we're not gonna. I'd rather see more boots on the ground and 2 new, well, not new, but 2 positions will be earmarked for almost exclusively the business district. So getting back to that was they'd be the individuals who are sitting in that substation in the event we can create a substation. I assume that's going to take money, and again, we haven't started that conversation yet, but again, as I indicate on here, 2 officers won't require will be dedicated exclusively to the business district and that CIU team. So as you asked, Chair, that, are they going to be? Yes. The simple answer is every person in the Greenfield Police Department is going to have some connection to the CIU. It's all of our responsibilities to get out there, to talk, to help, to do all of these things. So it's not uncommon these days now to see the deputy chief and I walking downtown. So we're just going to keep doing that. So one of the biggest cuts that we're talking about right now are cruisers. We're desperate for cruisers. We just had one of our cars go offline after having just got back from maintenance of probably $1,000, is back with another $1,800 worth of stuff it needs. So it's been over 4 years since we've purchased and acquired a marked cruiser. And as I tried to explain to the mayor, and she understands much more now, is you can't really judge a cruiser by its mileage, but more so by the hours. And a 3-year-old cruiser is sort of like a 9-year-old car. It's being used 3 shifts. The seats are worn, the steering wheels are shot, the controls are, beat up. And we're chasing our tails right now with cruiser maintenance. She's on board. She understands. She's assured me we're gonna get these cars. Not as many as we would like, because they're not cheap, but we gotta start somewhere. So we're gonna start replacing cars as soon as humanly possible. I'll open up the floor to the deputy chief. Unless you guys have any questions for me.
I have a comment. I'm certainly very impressed with your not too heavy approach. You're configuring your staff. This is, I'm sure that some sergeants are hoping for a promotion, but your concentration on the bottom is really impressive.
They were hoping for it until this meeting tonight. I just said that.
See?
Yeah.
You gotta speak louder.
So we have the radio equipment, correct?
Well, yes and no. So there was an error by Motorola. They sort of jumped the gun when we had our conversations.
Okay.
And they direct ship about $280,000 worth of radio equipment to our PD. It is sitting safely in our PD, but no, we don't own anything yet.
Is it the correct equipment?
I would assume so. We have open boxes. Yeah.
So we might have all the equipment. So
Yeah.
we're really talking about just the contract to
All
get
that
it installed.
equipment could go
and working,
back.
right? It might have.
Because it was working through particular vendors, right, who assumed we were gonna buy from them. So once it goes out, the vendor we're working with right now and talking with them, they don't believe the other vendors. There's only, according to them, there's really only one other vendor in the state that's qualified to do this job. And he's already spoke with them. They're not gonna bid. They're not interested. They got plenty of work to do. So we've had a bunch of questions. We've been going back and forth with this thing between finance, myself, IT. And it really comes down to how much of this equipment is proprietary versus, run of the mill. And I'm sure some of it is you could get at Staples. I don't know, but we were quoted a package by Pittsfield Communication, and that Pittsfield, working with the regional Motorola rep, put it together, and like I said, he sent it to our PD. So it'd come in a couple different shipments, and then I reached out and said, "Why are we getting this stuff?" And they were all surprised, but we have it. So it looks like there's a chance that will be the stuff, and the vendors who we've already talked to will be the vendors, but we got to use procurement laws. We got to follow it correctly. It'll be posted, as far as I know, on Combis on the 1st for bidding.
And what's it like, 10 days?
I think 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah, 2 weeks.
But it goes on from there. Then they actually have to build the computer system. The software has to be engineered.
Yes.
Just, there's some hardware sitting at our station that's not ours.
We're not super in a hurry to get it up and running because we wanted it to more so coincide with the new dispatch center that has moved nowhere. So the mayor, myself, Diana Schindler, we're all very frustrated with H2M right now. I realize they're busy. I realize they've done a lot of good work in the city, the library, the fire station. I get it. But I sent probably my 500th email to H2M saying, this isn't the Taj Mahal. This is taking down a wall and putting another wall up a little further away. And we're 2 years into it. We're literally 2 years into this project. It's frustrating. I haven't heard back now in 2 weeks. So I'm very frustrated. The mayor is now equally as frustrated after reading my most recent email. I hope we can make something happen. I'm tired of trying to tell dispatchers, we're working on it, but it's not up to us as to how fast this project progresses. It's in H2M's hands, and it's been crickets for 2 weeks now. It's frustrating. So they deserve to get into a new dispatch center. You're hearing from them the challenges they're having of sitting in a kind of makeshift room. The radio speakers are on top of each other. They can't hear. I know the fire department and ourselves alike are suffering with horrible audio out in the streets. So hopefully we can fix it.
Are they the only folks that can do that job? you can't go,
You mean H2M?
yeah.
Oh, we've already spent tens of thousands of dollars on them. So yeah, they gotta finish up. Yeah, they got the contract and they're well into it, but all of a sudden it just stopped dead, so.
Sorry for that. We don't get all worked out. It's been a long time. It's hard back on the books. All right, are you guys all set?
You got any, Deputy Chief?
No, I'm good.
Any comments?
No,
I want to just thank both departments for what I've been reading in the communication that I've heard where you're working together and you're communicating together and you're sitting down with each other and you're talking and I know you're working on the important first responder type stuff, schools together. So I want to thank both chiefs for really bringing the departments together. And I really like seeing all that your support behind you.
Well, fire is, my hat's off to fire, because fire is gonna be the ones teaching us. Although we use ICS every day, we don't talk about it. We don't identify it as that. They live that world and they're good at it. So we stand to learn a lot from fire and they've been very good teachers. And pretty soon we're gonna start to implement it together. The other thing is our next cruiser, I'm hoping to sort of mirror Chief Strand's car. We were at the fire on Elm Street and I saw how useful he has it's sort of a small command post. Unlike any of our cars. I mean, we're gonna talk on the radio, you're gonna lean in and grab the mic and he's got a nice presentation in the back of his car. Well needed, well done. What I want to do is I want to get our next car and make it that way for our sergeant's car, because they'd likely be the first incident commander for the police department and do a similar thing like that. I look at that vehicle as sort of the smaller command vehicle for the short-term events. More protracted event, we would then get our bigger SU or SOV down there, which has computers and that nature. But no, we're learning a lot from them and we appreciate it.
Yeah, and I appreciate all the folks behind you supporting you. So thank you. Really appreciate it. Yeah, well, we'll support you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Anything else from the commissioners? I didn't have anything else on the agenda for us to speak about this month. We'll continue a few things in the one. So any other comments? All right, a motion to adjourn. Anyone? Second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, meeting's over. Thank you all for attending.